Estás viendo Canal América, televisión dominicana para el mundo.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your fears.
Welcome to this episode of A Time for Truth. And today we have a show I know you're going to love because it has to do with when you go to put your pants on and it's a little bit tighter than it used to be and it annoys you. Or you want to lose some weight and you're going to LA Fitness, you're going to the gym, and it just doesn't seem to happen. So you buy some books, you buy some videos, and you see this thing in Facebook or on Twitter, and you get the video, but you don't lose the weight. And you start wondering, is there ever going to be a solution? So today, we have a special guest all the way from the other side of America, Paul Becker. And, Paul is a renowned, natural, steroid-free for life bodybuilder, bodybuilding training, personal fitness trainer, and weight loss coach. He grew up in Queens, New York, and Mr. Becker opposes the use of anabolic steroids in his training. He opposes illegal or banned substances, and he provides drug-free physical training, nutritional techniques, and legal supplements to achieve your individual's physical training and bodybuilding goals. From the age of 16, Mr. Becker became very interested in bodybuilding and fitness for a healthier, longer life without harmful or illegal drugs. For more than 30 years, he has studied and researched areas of physical training, mental training, nutrition, supplements, and recovery. He states something I really like. He says, theories are great, but real results in the gym and in life, visibly in your body, are the proof of time-tested techniques. Paul has trained hundreds of men and women and helped them to reach their individual fitness goals. In 1995, he authored the book Truly Huge, which was devoted to natural muscle growth. And in 96, he launched the trulyhuge.com site to provide all the physical tools, a quality line of supplements, diet, training information, personal training, and motivation to reach your goals. Mr. Becker has been featured in the New York Times, the Evening Standard, many others, and has authored many articles for bodybuilding and fitness magazines, such as the Scientific Bodybuilding Journal, Burn, Men's Fitness, Robert Kennedy's Muscle Mag International. His articles also appear on many of the top internet websites, such as bodybuilding.com, getbig.com, etc. Our guest can be reached at muscle@relaypoint.net, and it's my pleasure to welcome into our show Mr. Paul Becker. How are you doing, Paul?
Great, Ben. Good to see you.
It's great to see you. So you're out in Idaho, right?
Yep. That's where we are these days.
Amazing. And one of the questions I know our viewers are going to be interested in is what actually got you going into this calling in your life? Why is it you do what you do?
When I was just turning 16, I was slightly overweight, and I had a friend who was very much into fitness and lifting weights, and I started reading about it, and it just seemed there were a lot of benefits. I could lose some weight, I could shape up, um, and even then, I thought of it as a lifestyle, and I was already thinking about my future, my longevity, and everything like that, and it just seemed like something I really wanted to do, and I've been doing it ever since.
Beautiful. There's so much. I look online, if I go on YouTube and go to look at videos or get some song I want to listen to, I see so many nutritional exercise routines, philosophies. This is your specialty. So, I want you to be able to communicate. So, the first question I wanted you to ask you is, why do you stress? Because I see many of these other coaches stress other things. Why is it that you stress the drug-free, steroid-free? Because, you see a lot of these young guys on this, and women also. Why do you stress that?
Well, like I said, when I originally got involved, I saw it as a healthy activity. I actually was involved with it for a couple of years before I realized how much steroids and other drugs were involved in the sport, and sports in general, it would seem. And I had already made my decision that wasn't for me. I mean, I didn't want to use drugs or hormones and just look good but not be healthy. My whole idea was to look good and be healthy at the same time. And so that was at I started at 16. At 18, I was confronted with, well, these people do steroids. Am I going to do that? And I decided not to. And I've and now it's worse than ever in the sport. But there are natural bodybuilding contests and things like that don't require that. But yeah, for me, it was always about health, and here I am in my late 50s and still feel good and look good and don't have health problems because I used a bunch of drugs in my youth or anything like that.
That's what I was going to say, that from looking over your bio and this contest that you won recently, I'm curious, was that an all-natural contest you were in, or that was open to anyone?
There was no drug testing in this contest, and I know there were people in the contest who were on something or other, but I wasn't. And being a local contest, it's not like the top of the sport where everybody's on something. So and I was able to come in good enough shape without any drugs or anything, and won my weight class.
I know. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, very, very nice win. I was going to ask you, what advice could you give, somebody young who's going to the gym, they feel that they want to get bigger. What advice can you give them to motivate them not to do steroids or the pressure that they feel?
The biggest motivation is the concern for your health. I understand that you see people or hear about people that are using them, and they get great great gains in size and strength. But you can also see so many people who have health problems. There's been bodybuilders who died in their late 30s or early 40s. And for me, that's one of the biggest motivations. It's I wasn't of the mindset of having a shortened lifespan for sure. And if you train right and eat right, and there are some supplements you can use, you can look great without drugs. It's definitely possible.
I totally agree with you. One of the questions I wanted to ask you, because there's so many Americans who struggle with weight gain, they complain about low energy. What suggestions do you have? Because I know a lot of people watching the show are going to want to know, well, give me something specific. So in terms of nutrition and in terms of the weight gain and the energy, what would you suggest?
Well, the problem is the standard American diet is very high in things like sugar and carbohydrates. Now, I'm not saying you go zero carbohydrates, but you don't need as much, and definitely not, you don't need as much as most people eat. And the sugar is definitely a problem. And I even notice if I go a little overboard on, or if I have a cheat or something, that I have less energy from eating sugar or too much carbohydrates. So the right balance of protein and carbohydrates and eating small meals throughout the day will give you more energy and feel better in general.
Interesting. And like how many, you say, I've heard this before about eating more meals but smaller and during the day. How many do you recommend, and what kind of guidelines could you give our viewers?
It just depends on the person, but I talk to a lot of people. There's some people who eat twice a day, once a day. So I would say somewhere between 4, 5, 6 smaller meals throughout the day. Every maybe 2.5, 3 hours will keep somebody's energy up better than just eating a lot of food at once. I mean, most of the time you eat sit down to a big meal, you'll feel tired. Just all that food, your body's got to work on digesting it, and you'll feel tired from that. But if you do a smaller meal and space it out, you will have more energy.
Makes sense. I have a question for you. Most of the viewers, I think, would realize that fruits in their diet is fine, but I wanted to ask you in terms of the other carbohydrates, so that we could kind of like get into a little bit. These breads that you can buy at different health food stores, like the Ezekiel bread, or the cinnamon raisin, sprouted breads. Do you consider those carbohydrates fine, or do you still feel that those carbohydrates are going to cause weight gain?
Well, sprouted grains are definitely better than the like that type of bread is better than just the other bread. You still don't want to have too much of it. You still want to balance it out with your proteins. But it's definitely a better bread that's made from sprouted grains.
Okay, and what is your take? Because another thing I see a lot of is that the high percentage chocolate, like 70, 85%, that it actually is good for you. How do you feel about that organic high percentage chocolate?
Well, it's never the chocolate that's the problem in candy and things like that. It's always the amount of sugar and things they put in it. But the cocoa itself is healthy. So yeah, if you're gonna have chocolate, you would want to get that it's the high percentage chocolate, like the dark chocolate, like you're talking about.
I got you. So like something like in a bar then would be nutritionally sound.
Yeah, I mean, I still consider things like protein bars treats. I don't really eat candy, so occasionally I'll have a protein bar, and that'll be like a candy bar to me. Back in the old days, they used to call them protein candy bars.
Interesting. I didn't realize that. Well,
Yeah.
another question that I have for you is it seems to me like when I've gone out and I do something physically that I get a mental clarity. So I know that a lot of viewers out there looking for energy, looking to relax, maybe feeling stressed out. What suggestions do you have in terms of exercise routines or types of exercise to achieve that mental relaxation?
Well, just for mental relaxation, probably one of the best things you could do is walk. At a somewhat brisk pace, but not too fast, and just look around and take a good long walk. And you you get your metabolism going, you burn off calories, and you also kind of just pull away from your daily problems and just kind of feel better and have a better outlook.
Well, thank you for your advice. I was going to ask you a question because you're someone who's a bodybuilder and shows. So there's probably people watching this watching this show who want to know how many times a day they should work out.
Well,
or a week, how many times a week?
That all depends on goals. I usually work out 3 days a week. Sometimes I'll do more. Before the show, I was up to 5 or 6 times a week. But my usual program is maybe 3 days a week lifting weights and 2 to 3 doing cardio. Which if I can, it's usually walking outside.
I see. And so you keep, this is something that I've seen at times. Do you keep the cardio apart from the, weightlifting, or do you do it simultaneously? How do you do that?
I keep them apart. Usually if I'm going to do them on the same day, I'll do the cardio in the morning or later in the afternoon after the workout. But usually sometimes I'll do the weights one day and the cardio the next day.
I see. And so do you feel that there's like certain misconceptions with exercise, and a lot of people nowadays are going to exercise? What misconceptions do you see are out there that you could help the viewers with so they don't run into pitfalls with the routine or what they're doing in their life?
I think a lot of people get the idea that you have to do it for hours a day. And it's not really true. Usually my workouts are maybe 45 minutes. The weight training is about 45 minutes. And you don't have to spend hours in the gym to get a good workout or to get good results. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions, is just how much time is really needed to get good results.
Interesting. And during these 45-minute workouts, do you have to do the exercise so that you're still relaxed, or that you're sore and you're having difficulty doing it, but you're pushing yourself? How much of that is involved? What is the reality?
like that also depends on goals, but in order to make progress, you're going to have to push yourself a bit, but that doesn't always mean that every workout has to be traumatic. You just need to have progress, and you don't have to kill yourself, but if you did, let's say, 10 reps last time, you try for 11 or 12 this time, or a little bit more weight or something.
Interesting.
But
And
a lot of people, if you make the work, one problem I've seen with trainers is that they'll push a client too hard, and then he's not going to want to come back. If the workout's too hard and they end up too sore right away, they're not going to want to come back. The work still should be somewhat enjoyable,
yes.
even though you pushed yourself.
Okay. So, like, how much should you expect to have some soreness, or how do you gauge, like when you have a client? I know it's probably very individual, obviously one person to the other, but what do you use to gauge? Because, so the person is pressing themselves, but not really getting super, super painfully sore the next day or even an hour later.
Yeah, I mean, if someone, it depends on their current experience with training. If they're not training at all, I definitely take it easy on them the first few workouts. Make sure they know how to do the exercises, correct technique, and then over time, push them a bit harder. And I ask them, how'd you feel the next day? And a little bit of soreness isn't bad, but if it I mean, there's no reason that they need to be in pain or they can't, do the normal routine because their muscles are too sore.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, for sharing all this knowledge. I'm curious, I've heard that magnesium is something that's a supplement that actually helps with muscle pain after a workout. What's your feeling on magnesium?
Yeah, I mean, I use a calcium magnesium supplement, and that definitely helps with muscle soreness and helps you relax. Sometimes I'll take it before bed just to sleep better.
Well, okay. And so, as there's a lot of viewers watching this, what do you feel are principles that you'd like to relate to them so when they leave the show, they actually have some stable points of what they can apply in their routine and in their workouts?
Well, I mean, the basic principle is if you're just getting started, find out what you can do without too much difficulty, and then over time improve it. Like, let's say you want to do some push-ups and you find out, okay, I can do 5 push-ups without too much difficulty. Okay, so over time, let's say you're doing them every other day or whatever, add a push-up and just continue to add to it and push yourself harder over time. And as long as there's a progression there, you'll increase and get stronger and get more muscle tone, etc.
Well, okay. And, I've heard a lot also, which is probably a question some of the viewers would have, is about, doing things isometrically. I'm wondering, do you use isometrics at all? Aside from the weights and the aerobics, do you also do like isometric exercises?
At times, yes. Like when you go into a contest, you have to practice the poses you're going to do and a posing routine, and that basically is a form of isometric exercise. And I've also done isometrics when I wasn't able to get to the gym. So it's definitely a form of exercise you can use. One of my ideas is there's always something you can do. If you can't get to a gym, you can do calisthenics, or you can do isometrics. That, you know, as long as you have your body, you can exercise.
Yeah, that's a very good point you make. You know, sometimes we look for things to be very complicated, right?
Yeah. I mean, one of the things is a lot of people look at, well, I can't do this. Okay, what can you do? That's always the question. What can you do?
Exactly. To try and look at what gradient or step you can start on that you can build upon. You know, I actually,
Yeah.
it's interesting. I got that advice from a patient of mine who's a marathon runner who would run marathons, and I thought it was unbelievable. He would do 5-minute miles. Obviously, he didn't win the marathon, but if I just did one 5-minute mile, it would be amazing.
Yeah,
It would be amazing.
quite
He would do a 5-minute mile for the whole marathon. And he said to me that the mistake people make is they go too fast and they have to do small increments. You know, it was very interesting because I applied that with an injury I had one time, and it definitely helped. Very small increments of improvement. So, you know, we're going to be ending the show soon, Paul. It has been a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Yeah, I'm very glad we had you. Is there anything you'd like to say, very short, at the end of the show here for our viewers?
Well, I would say, just like we were saying, if you want to start exercising, just get started. Whether that's just taking a walk, doing some push-ups, just find out something simple you can do and get started on it, and you know, you can learn more and improve more over time. But the biggest thing is to start and keep going. You know, if you go on vacation or something, come back, restart. There's, you know,
re-go.
Definitely, yeah, it's definitely a you know, exercising and eating correctly is a lifestyle, and it's something you'll do for your whole life, really.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? Thank you so much for being on the show. It's been a pleasure having you. I hope those of you watching go out there now and exercise and do it the way Paul Becker mentioned to you. I hope you do really well and that you've enjoyed the show. Have a great 4th of July weekend, and we will see you on Monday for the next Time for Truth show. Be well and have a great weekend.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your feet